Welcome. This is what you wanted. This is what you get. For those who want to donate to the page, definitely do so during this video. Click the donate button in the description button where it says Streamlab and leave me a message and tell me what you think about this video. And you can make suggestions to videos that you might want to see that we might do. A lot of people have done this and made suggestions about this over the, say, 2 years now. And I finally got around to doing it. And now we have a Cash App. So now Cash App wasn't even around when people were first asking me about this video. So now here it is. The truth behind the Latrell Sprewell and P.J. Carlesimo incident. Now, the year was 1997. The Golden State Warriors was not Dub Nation. They were L Nation. They were a very sporadic team. They had a good team, but very sporadic. And they had a player with a bunch of raw talent, but just never could put it all together. And he was having a rough go at it with the Warriors. And when he have a good game, and it kind of get, lost in the shuffle with a bad game. Now, a lot of people have told you all the stuff that happened from this thing. There's been specials, there've been all kind of stuff about this thing, but no one really told you, and they always overlook things that happened beforehand that led to this situation. Spree was having a bad game, and PJ snatched him out of the game. Okay, this was weeks before this happened. Weeks. So you're talking about 6-7 games before the incident. Latrell Sprewell is struggling. He's having a very bad game, making a lot of turnovers, making a lot of bad decisions. PJ snatches him out the game. And he's talking to him. And he's basically yelling in his ear. So after the game, PJ goes in the back and he basically says, a lot of guys on this team got to learn what it takes to be an NBA basketball player. I can't do that for you. You got to learn that on yourself. And if you don't want to commit to becoming that, or, becoming or figuring out what it is, you're not going to be on my court. If you can't run plays, if you're not doing your work, you're not going to get on the court. So, in practice, this is 6-7 days before the incident, or 6-7 games. Weeks prior, he talks to Sprewell and tell him, you're not working hard enough. I want you guys to come in here early, and you guys got to be in the gym, him and a couple of other players on the team. And they run a play, and he'll stop it, and he'll call out Sprewell the majority of the time. Sprewell became the guy he targeted and blamed for a lot of the things that were going wrong on the team. And Spree was like, man, he barely says anything to anybody else. It's always me. So he was already feeling he was the victim. But he never realized why he was being yelled at in the first place. The reason why is he was slacking on defense. He was making very silly passes with the basketball and being careless. And it was leading to turnovers. And that's when he was like, you're not passing the ball hard enough. And PJ and his assistant coaches was assuming that, hey man, smoke on your own time. This ain't the time. Like, are you high right now? A lot of people assumed that he might have been high a lot of times while he was out there playing in practice, and that's why he was giving a lethargic effort in some of the games and in practice. This was the word around the campfire. So they have a game where Sprewell does all right. but he makes like a big turnover error. He snatched out the game immediately. Now, once that happens, he's pissed about that because he was in a good groove, and he's like, Coach never said, hey, good game. Like, you were doing good. He snatches me out after one mistake. So, man, already he's telling Bimbo Coles, I want out of here. I can't deal with this coach. You know, they just signed me to a $30 million deal, and he's on my ass every time. I can't do anything. I want out. So he's not interested in sticking around Golden State. So he's talking to Bimbo. You know, he got a lot of players on the team. He's very well liked up on the team. So you got all these players that's, you know, got his back. And with that being said, you know, he's like, okay, I got my boys here with me. You know, Bimbo, Muggsy, you know, Felton. You know, these are my guys. Joe Smith. They got my back. So they was like, man, don't break the team up, man. Look, that's just coach, man. Trust me, he gonna get better. You know, you just get off your back, man. We'll talk to coach. You know, they trying to keep Spree, you know, under control at this time. Now, Sprewell goes to, I think they had a day off. They didn't have a game. Then it was a practice. And in this practice, Spree he screwed up a lot. So he was actually mad at himself because he knew he was screwing up. And P.J. is chewing him out. Look, you think just because you got a big contract, you can come in here and sabotage the team? You got guys in here who could play better than you right now. I could sit you down and I mean, P.J. was chewing him out. And was like, if you can't make a pass in the NBA, you don't even deserve the $30 million they gave you. I'm going to sit you down with the B team. I'm going to get somebody in there who knows how to make a pass. So, next thing you know, Spree, man, he's in there and he's not even running the play right. He's like, you know what, that's it. Get out. Get out my gym. That's it. You're out of practice. Go. Just leave. Just get out. So he's running towards Spree to tell him to point to the locker room and tell him to get out. Sprewell throws the ball against the wall. Boom! High when he throws him out. Then when PJ was walking up telling him to get out, he turns around and grabs PJ Carlesimo by the throat and was threatening to kill him. They break it up and they push him and he goes into the office. He storms out. He goes up to the office to where I think the general manager is and whatever. I want out, man. Trade me, man. Get me up out of here. I can't deal with coach, man. I need to go now. So they were like, okay, all right, we'll stay in here and talk with me, but you got to get off the premises. You've been kicked out and all of this. We need you off the premises and this and that. So Bimbo Coles is like, let me go talk to him. Let me go. No. He got to go. Everybody's still practicing. He got to go. Now, Bimbo Coles is like his closest friend on the team, and he can calm him down. Bimbo is very sensible. So if they'd have had Bimbo talk to him, he could have probably brought him down, from the anger that he was in. So he storms off, right? He goes out into the parking lot, goes into his car, whatever. Then he comes back. Like he rode around in a circle, parked the car, came back inside into practice after he's been sent away. Sees PJ, runs up on him and starts choking him some more. And the second incident now is like premeditated. Now it's, a whole different type of assault charges. Now he's in there choking him to where PJ could barely breathe. And the players are having a hard time getting Spree off of him. And then when they do, you could see he went in there and with the intent, and probably would have killed him if like say none of the other players were there. He would have killed PJ. That would have been a very bad scene for him and the NBA. Now, when this happens, they get him out of there, and it's business as usual. Everybody goes by. PJ does the interview. He's basically bleeding from the throat and says no comment. Next thing you know, there's a press conference that's done because Sprewell is like ultimately suspended from the team. The NBA voided its contract. It was just an initial shut it down because this has never happened before. And something like this could never happen again, to where a player feel like it's okay to put hands on the coach or vice versa. And Spree at this time really didn't apologize or see any fault in what he did. He think he was the victim in the whole situation because of the way the coach was just targeting him. Now, he had a 4-year, $32 million contract. And the whole contract was terminated. And he was suspended a year. It was the longest penalty for a non-drug offense in the NBA's history. So, of course, they were going to appeal it and go through the unions and everything else. This was unprecedented at the time. No one ever seen anything like this. What made this guy snap? But, like I said, no one did their homework. One day in a practice, Jerome Kersey goes down the lane and he fouls Sprewell. And Kersey's old school. He come from the Portland Trail Blazers. They was doing their thing over there. Rest in peace to Jerome Kersey. But Jerome Kersey is no punk. Like you ain't gonna punk Jerome Kersey. He's old school. And you ain't gonna just talk to him any kind of way. He ain't gonna back down. So Jerome Kersey starts mouthing off with Latrell Sprewell. And they going back and forth. Like, look, okay, well, whatever. Whatever, back to you then. So they going back and forth. Now, you think it's going to be over with. Nah. Not even close, homie. Not even close to being over with. At practice, Latrell Sprewell leaves practice angry, walks out, goes in his car, drives off, comes back with a 2x4 and was trying to smash Jerome Kersey with the doggone 2x4. See, this was prior to that. This was 2 years prior. This is back in 2015. He tried to crack Jerome Kersey upside the head with a 2x4. So that shows you that these were signs that he had a problem with his temper. But instead, no one everybody ran and made this a story because his money was gone. Now he stands to lose $6.4 million for the whole season. So what do? You're going to fight for it any which way you can. So he gets with the team. He files his appeal, of course. Of course they're going to do that. So the National Basketball Association, they rushed to judgment. So now they're saying, well, they really decided not to get his statement and everything else. The NBA, they talked to like 20-some people. They talked to like 20-some people, and when they reviewed this thing, everybody had the same story. It was a lot of witnesses who was there, and most of them were the teammates. They were like, yeah, well, coach was like laying into him, but yeah, he went ham. So he was like, all the guys with me, they understand my position. The guys that's behind me, they understand Coach been riding me. But there's never a good reason for you to put your hands on the coach. And talking about I've been vilified. Every time I look at a clip, it's a picture of me looking mad and aggressive. I never seen a picture of myself with a smile on my face. That's unfair. You almost killed a guy by choking him. Sprewell, now here's the thing. Sprewell grabbed him by the throat. He apologized to the fans and didn't call Carlesimo until like later on a Sunday or something to try to say he's sorry after being told that he needed to do this. So of course they had Billy Hunter, who's the Players Association's director, has set it up where he can talk to and go over the situation where there were other situations that developed where 23 people were interviewed, and then they had like the vice president of security calls Sprewell to get his side of the story, and they were trying to say he hung up on him, but no, he'd rather not do that. He said no, that's not what happened. He's like, when it became a accusatory, I'd rather postpone everything until I had a chance to talk to the union. Let me confer with the union before I start saying some things when you guys are coming at me in that way. So it's not that I hung up on him. He wanted to actually talk and confer with the union, which is smart. If you're Sprewell, that was the way to go. So he went and got his advisors, his team. He went and got Tellum to represent him in his appeal case. So Tellum, who was like, man, we need somebody here who could see this with better eyes than us. And they like, well, let's bring somebody in as an advisor, Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran, who got Albert Bell his money. And he told Aaron Tellum, who had Albert Bell, and Cochran, advised him what to do with the Albert Bell situation. He told him, look, don't comment on the specifics. We got pending grievances filed by the NBA, so let's not say really our position just yet. So they had an arbitrator come in from Fordham University. So they had the arbitrator come in and try to look at the situation and go from that standpoint. So Johnny Cochran looks at it and starts thinking the race card. Carlesimo's white. You're black. He's white, you're black. Everybody knows that. You're Latrell Sprewell. You know this man, I know this man. That's Latrell Sprewell. Plays for the Golden State Warriors. He's an NBA basketball player. You know this man, I know this man. So he will get people to see him as a human being and as a basketball player. So he wanted to show them the light of how he's been treated unfairly by the NBA and how the NBA rushed to judgment without hearing his side of the story. That's the angle Johnny Cochran wanted to approach. And why would that? And they want to lead around to the fact that they want to protect the white guy who's called P.J., who's the coach, and he's white, and he's black, and he's just a player. That was the angle they wanted to run with. So by having his players behind him while he sat there on the podium and answered some of the questions without really answering any of the questions at all, when that situation was brought to the forefront, what you're seeing now is a microcosm of what's yet to come. Because down the road, what ended up happening is he was able to get half of his money back. And then he was able to sign after losing the $6.4 million or whatever he ended up losing. He was able to get half of the money that they owed him guaranteed by the Golden State Warriors. They paid half of the $30 million that was remaining on his contract. So he ended up with like $15 million. Plus he was able to get a deal with the New York Knicks. But that wasn't enough for him. So he got rid of his agent. Okay. Then he decides, you know what I need to do? I want to sue the NBA for lost wages. Yep. Oh, man. So he went to sue the NBA for lost wages because he wanted to get all his money. So they went to the U.S. District Court to try to fight this situation all the way there. And he went and got a new lawyer to represent him in this case. And he's like, we got to, get under federal antitrust statutes and attorneys and court fees. And I think I was treated unfairly by the Warriors and the league. And my full story still hasn't been heard. And it was just going back and forth and back and forth. It was just unnecessary nonsense. And now the chief legal advisor had released a statement saying this is poorly disguised attempt by Sprewell's new attorney to try to re-argue claims that's already been rejected and put the rest by the arbitrator, which they did. The arbitrator threw all this stuff out. All that stuff about state civil rights, racial discrimination laws, and antitrust laws. They were trying to re-argue a case. So, no, he ended up losing that too. He got half the money, and he was able to sign a deal with the Knicks. But he also tried to go back and sue the Golden State Warriors yet again. Yet again. Over the same thing when he was with the Knicks. So he went all the way as part of his reinstatement. The federal appeals court gave him the $15 million out of the 30 that he got. His suspension was cut from a year to 68 games and overturned the Warriors' decision to terminate the last 3 years of his contract. So the judges on the U.S. Court of Appeals, they dismissed his case entirely last year, but Sprewell with the Knicks said he want to sue the organization on claims that they intended to vilify him and prevent him from making efforts to get contracts with other teams because of his race. And he threatened that, the threats were out of anger and that he did not intend to carry them out, and claims the NBA and the Warriors did not portray it that way in the media. Converse dropped an endorsement deal with him, and I'm black. It was crazy. And it's like, everybody understand that was a statement in anger when I said I was going to kill him, but he didn't mean, I didn't mean what he said. It just come out that way. So anyway, ultimately, this did not work out in his favor. as nothing more would be done in this case. So after he was traded to the Knicks, after all of this was done, the arbitration hearing and all this stuff went down, the NBA investigators and destroying interview notes and doctoring evidence. That's what they were trying to say, and all of this stuff was dismissed. And all of the allegations was thrown out when Sprewell sued the Golden State Warriors. And that's why he has not been back. And that's it. So please, if you like what you heard, donate to the page. Hit the Cash App up. Or you guys can hit me up in the Streamlab. Make a donation there. It's your boy Carlesimo. I'm out saying thank you guys once again for, keeping me number one.